Today I'm doing a tier list on the top 50 best players in world football. If you want to check out the tier list, the link is in the description below. I didn't make it, so go check it out if you want to make one as well. Subscribe for more football news, transfer news, content. Stay tuned. We have a lot of stuff prepared for this channel. Very excited to share it with you guys. But anyways, let's get into the video, starting with Eder Militao. Eder Militao, this is a pretty stacked list, so I'm going to put him at B. I think he's a very good center back for Real Madrid, being that he's won, the Champions League with them. He's played decent roles. He does have an error or two in him. He might drop down to C, but for now we'll put him at B and we'll see how the list gets on. Frankie de Jong, Barcelona won La Liga last season. I think Frankie de Jong is one of the best talents in the world. I still think he hasn't really reached his true potential with Barcelona, so I'm going to put him at an A. Next, I believe this is, I can't tell who that is. Is that Rodri? Yep, it's Rodri. Yep, Rodri. So Rodri's up next. Rodri, we're going to put him, honestly, like, at least an A. I think Rodri's a fantastic midfielder, and I think he can probably even merit a move up to S, but we're going to have to wait and see. Andrew Robertson, also going to put him at A. I'd say he's, if not the best left back in the world, the second or third best, and I don't think there's many people that can make a case ahead of him. So being that he's been at the top of his game, top of the left back game for the past several seasons, I think that's fairly good. Aymeric Laporte is up next, and Laporte honestly is going to kind of suffer on this list. I think he's a player who was really great for City for a very long time, but injuries have plagued them, and so now, honestly, he might be at like D for this list. I'm gonna have people in all the tiers, so people are gonna shift around a ton. There'll be a final tier list at the end, but next is David Alaba, or is that Antonio Rudiger? Let's see who it is. David Alaba. So David Alaba, I'm gonna move Militao down to C and put Alaba at B. I think Alba's a really great player, but I also think that Alaba, honestly, I could see myself doing something like that too, maybe having Robertson at B. But for now, we'll have a fairly stacked day. I think all these players are really great, and I think they all are all at that level of being like just under perfect players, let's say. Kevin De Bruyne, first S, easy. Don't think there's much need to talk about that. Heung-min Son, A would have been how I felt at the end of not this past season, but 2 seasons ago. After this season, I think he's a B. He's a great player, but he can only play in certain systems, and I mean, it's not his fault. Spurs was fairly unstable. He gets into pockets of form that are really incredible. But overall, I think Son is just below that tier. But he's right at the top of B. Like, he is at the precipice, similarly to how Frankie de Jong is at the precipice of A and S for Rodri. Let me just confirm that's Rodri. That's got to be Rodri. Yeah, that's Rodri. I'm mixing it up as to whether that's Rodri or Ruben Diaz. But next we have Gianluigi Donnarumma, who I think's like, I'm going to put it like C or D. Honestly, not an F, but C or D is definitely where I'm feeling him. He's a promising goalie. He makes some big saves, but he's also just kind of like it feels like he's pretty lateral season to season. He's not really making huge strides, so I'm going to keep him at D for now. He might even drop to F. Antoine Griezmann. Antoine Griezmann is honestly a high B, low A. Somewhere in between there. We'll keep him at B just so it's even, but if A needs some filling out, we'll get him in there. Mike Maignan, I think this man is top class. I think he's one of the best goalies in the world, and I think AC Milan is blessed beyond belief to have someone like him in that. Next is Luka Modric. I think he's got to be an S as well. I mean, just being so phenomenal for Real Madrid season to season. Yeah, I think he's coming into this upcoming season probably going to experience his first drop off. But similarly, I think Toni Kroos is in a high S tier as well. Thibaut Courtois also going to have to be S. Lewandowski also S. These four I feel like really deserve their spots. But if we're going to put Thibaut Courtois at S, I don't think we can justify Mike Maignan at S. So Mike Maignan will be right around here at the high A. Neymar is an interesting one. Neymar is fit for about half the games he can play for, PSG. He's been kind of on and off in terms of form, but what Neymar can give you is, in a word, just brilliance. He can provide you with some of the best abilities, best qualities, and best kind of attributes that you would want for a left winger attacking midfielder. He's just purely the definition of, a Brazilian star. He is truly a superstar footballer, and he has the Brazilian record. So honestly, because of injuries, I'm going to put him at A, but we're also going to be shifting Robbo down to B. I think Robbo is a high B. I also feel like I can get away with putting maybe one of Mike Maignan or Frankie de Jong at B. I think it's going to have to be Mike Maignan, maybe. Yeah. I mean, nah, he'll stay in A. He'll stay in A for now. Alisson, automatic S. Alisson, in my opinion, is the best goalkeeper in the world. Thibaut Courtois can make a great case as well, but I think these two are basically neck and neck. Alisson's distribution, his one-on-one shot stopping, his penalty saves, everything about Alisson, his leadership, he is absolutely unstoppable in that. Next, we have Vinicius Jr. Vinicius Jr., also an S. He's got to be up there as an S. He's just quality. I mean, Vinny is actually, Vinny is fantastic, but Vinny also is slightly inconsistent. He does well in the Champions League. I'd put him on the same level as like Neymar, honestly. High A, just about an S, but just with Neymar, it's injuries, but with Vinny Jr., it's just him taking that final step to being the total superstar package at Real Madrid. Sadio Mane, this hurts, but I feel like Sadio Mane is a C. He's a player who just can't really, he couldn't figure things out at Bayern. Now he's going to Al Nassr, and we'll see how he performs alongside Cristiano Ronaldo, who is next up. And I think Cristiano Ronaldo is honestly like a low B, right around here, below Heung-min Son. A great player on his day, could still probably get you 10, 15, maybe just under 20 goals a season. But the trade-off is that your team doesn't really have the capability to press from the front as much. You're really targeting Ronaldo. It's pretty clear. It's just like a one-route strategy, but he still can contribute to a team like Al Nassr. Kylian Mbappe, we're putting him at the top of us. He's the best player in the world, in my opinion. I also think I'm going to move Toni Kroos. I mean, nah, I think that's fair. Virgil van Dijk. I think Virgil van Dijk is A in terms of center backs. He kind of has fallen off, since the injury. There's obviously the major injury that he suffered by Jordan Pickford, but at the same time, I feel like Virgil's finally starting to get back into the rhythm of his old kind of self, and honestly, it's exciting. He's captain of Liverpool now. He's still, I'd say, one of the top 3 center backs in the world, probably. And while he does kind of need more of a partner nowadays, it's pretty unfair to me to basically not put him as high as A, especially when you're comparing across positions. That's something you have to keep in mind for this tier list. The impact of someone like, say, Alisson, who's an S tier goalie, and someone like say, I don't know, Neymar, is due to a lot of things. I mean, Neymar obviously could dribble better than Alisson. He could score more goals than Alisson. They're obviously in different positions, but at the same time, the availability of Alisson, the consistency, that's all being factored in. Next, De Gea, straight F. I don't want to hear it from anyone. If you disagree, sound off in the comments. But De Gea has been like a C to D tier goalie who has had like good moments, but at the same time has so many key errors across the season that it just flares up everything, you know? For seasons before that, the last 2, 3 seasons before last season where he won the Golden Glove, De Gea was really just subpar to average to bad. And last season he had a bit of a kind of renaissance, but he was paid so much at Manchester United that effectively it put him in a position where he was so overvalued at the club and they didn't even want to let him go until the end, and now he's gone from the club. But at the same time, what more can you say? Has the wrist strength of like string cheese. uh Next, Karim Benzema. I think Benzema is honestly just at he's also at the S tier. um Phenomenal player. You know what more can be said? He is at Al Nassr now. um Honestly, I wouldn't mind putting him at A, but being that he is like one of the best players in Real Madrid's history ever, and that he's done a lot of that over the course of the last 2, 3 seasons, I think that's just very fair. Obviously, Ronaldo has a great legacy over the last 2, 3 seasons, but you know, Benzema was just in Champions League final, and Ronaldo made the switch from Real Madrid many a year ago. And Benzema to still be kind of contributing at that scale, I think, shows his true quality. Ederson, he's the third S goalie. Um, I think these three are the best three goalies in the world by and far. And I think all of them obviously contribute slightly different values to the game. I'd say Courtois is the best shot stopper here. Got probably the best distributor in Ederson, and Alisson's a great blend of the two, but they are all so impactful that it's almost unfair. You know, I have three strikers here, three midfielders, three three goalies. The S tier will be really stacked because there's some players who are truly like at the top. We'll probably shed some players as we go on. Casemiro. Casemiro is a great B tier or A tier. Honestly, like high B, probably higher than Rabo, but or low A is where I put Casemiro. I'm honestly gonna put him low A. I think he has like a similar. I mean, his legacy at Real Madrid is undeniable. Since coming to Manchester United, he's made a good impact on the squad, but he also hasn't achieved much with United yet. He's won some league cups. Obviously, he won one League Cup, I believe, last season, but he's aging. The state of him currently, he'll have probably another 1 to maybe 1.5, 2 seasons where he's at the top of his game, and then his legs are going to start to go. But he's been the best center defensive mid of a generation, I would say, and I think he deserves that spot. Next up, we have Bernardo Silva, who also is probably going to go to the A tier. Was always a threat for Man City. I don't know what his contract situation is with City now, whether he's going to stay with the club, move on. But it's tough to say. There's potential for him to continue with the club, but I think as a player, Bernardo Silva provides a lot of, kind of movement on the ball. Is very dynamic and ultimately is in, a state where he could play in various positions. And a lot of the players thus far have been kind of solely one position. I'd say Alaba can play two, and then you have Neymar who could play a couple, Kylian Mbappe who could play a couple, and just about everyone else is, fairly stuck to their position. So his versatility really lends him kind of some credence to be up here, but he also might drop down. We're going to re-edit the list at the end. Nicolas Sula, honestly, he's like C, I guess. Ruben Diaz is S tier for sure. So is Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland is right there. We'll put him kind of at the end, yeah. Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes is a B tier player. I said it. Hate me all you want, but it's true. A lot of his goal contributions, specifically his goals, come from the penalty spot or set pieces, and that's fine to an extent. But while he does assist a lot, you have to kind of look at him as a total kind of, player over the last few seasons. He's contributed a ton to Manchester United, but it's also been in United sides that are kind of underbaked. And now we're kind of seeing United get a lot more cash flow. They're getting injected with more cash season on season. And you have someone like, Bruno Fernandes, who is effectively, one of your three midfielders alongside Mount and Casemiro. And he's really going to be put to the test now, because if United don't start contending for the title and he's still putting up 12, 15, 12 goals, 15 assists season, scoring like 7, 8 pens, there's questions to be asked. Like, sure, amazing passer on his day. Sure, he has a ton of goal contributions, but he is the captain of Manchester United now, and he has all the leadership of a wet towel. On top of that, he dives just about every game whenever it gets close. He dives just about more than any player in the world, I'd say. Honestly, there's, Luis Suarez dove a lot, and Liverpool fans rightfully got a lot of stick for that. And I understand where United fans are coming from. You have a player who contributes a lot to your team. You want to see your team succeed, but you got to realize Luis Suarez had like the second or third most assists of like the century. Like, since the turn of the century, he's been like up there. He's one of the most legendary strikers of all time. He did that at Barcelona. You have someone like Bruno Fernandes, who's been great at Sporting, been good for the Portuguese national team, and is getting good numbers at Manchester United, but it's very deceiving numbers, I would say. Fede Valverde up next. Fede also probably an A tier midfielder. I feel like he's like right around Frankie de Jong in terms of getting to that next level, so to speak. Besides that, Christopher Nkunku, I think Nkunku is a high B tier, basically at A. I would say we have to see how he gets on in the Premier League, and then I could make a claim. He was injured for a bit this past season, so gonna kind of, if he had a equal season to his season 2 seasons ago this past season and wasn't injured, I'd put him like mid A, I would say. But Leipzig's a good team. He's a very promising player, but we'll see how it translates from one league to another. Mohamed Salah, easily S tier. I would say Salah is one of the 4 best attackers in the world. Him, Messi, Mbappe, Haaland. I'd say those 4 are really at the top of the game. And honestly, he's won everything, Mo Salah. So like, why wouldn't I put him up here? I'd say he's like in this tier right here with these 4, like really just up there. Harry Kane's someone that out the gates, out the jump, I think you might want to put him at like S, based on how many 30 plus goal seasons he's had. He's kind of kicked and dragged Tottenham. He's, done a lot of good things for England, but I just can't really feel justified putting him ahead of someone like Neymar or Vinny Jr., who I feel like, while they're fantastic, are kind of limiting their games in terms of, their output by themselves. They've won great trophies, obviously. Kane hasn't. Kane has all the individual assets without any of the kind of legacy that these two have. But I also feel like Harry Kane is one of the best strikers of a generation, the best English striker of his generation. And having him any lower than A would feel crazy. Like, he's not a B. He's better than everybody below him currently in terms of form, in terms of impact. But he's also not quite as like as important as he is to Spurs. It amounts to nothing season on season. And I hate to say it, but a lot of times it's because Spurs is so hyper focused on Kane, and it causes it to kind of, lend sort of different areas of the pitch that don't kind of receive the type of investment they might need from the higher ups at Spurs, and also kind of have the quality needed to play alongside someone like Kane. So yeah, that's why I have him at A. Verratti's an F. I have seen Marco Verratti play a good 20, 30 times in my life, and he's looked brilliant in some games. He's looked okay in some games. He's looked bad in some games. But his whole career has been at PSG, and I feel like he's, with Italy missing out on the World Cup, and, they won the Euros, sure, but he's just kind of like a midfielder of the past in a sense. His body isn't necessarily up to snuff. He's not necessarily always fit, but he's just kind of, at this very moment, I don't know how I feel about Marco Verratti. He's going to Al Hilal, I believe, as well. So it's like he's going to go to Saudi Pro League. We'll see how he does there, how fit he can stay truly. And besides that, it's he's used to be a very promising talent. Now he's like 29, 30, and it's like clearly past his best. Hoping to kind of get one big final payday, but he's not bad. He's just okay, you know. He had just an okay career, but based on his hype, based on like what people expect of him, he's and everyone else here, he's easily like at the F tier of this. Thomas Muller, um, I feel like Muller is someone who has obviously won the Bundesliga with Bayern last season, but it was by the skin of his teeth. Um, in Europe, they've been okay kind of recently. I put him at the bottom of B. He's like a player who's also kind of past his best, has won a lot in the last like decade, but like in the last like 4 seasons, was he like really accomplished? I mean, there's a Champions League in there, but even like more recently, you look at this season, it's like he's aging. He's still a great player, but I'd take a good chunk or just about everyone here ahead of Muller. Maybe not Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, honestly, kind of like he's barely hanging on to the B tier. Is that Jude Bellingham? Jude Bellingham. Bellingham, another one of the best prospects in the world. I'm gonna put him at B. They choked the Bundesliga last season. He's been good for England. He's still very young, so we'll see how his career gets on. The one thing that really kind of scares me with Bellingham is every time I see him play, he's got knee braces on. So hopefully his knees can stay intact. But besides that, I'm gonna put this man at like a kind of high B tier between like Muller and Ronaldo. Oblak is, I'd say, a pretty good goalie. He has fallen off a bit these last couple of seasons. But I feel like, a B to a C, he's still a great goalie who could kind of, I'd put him below Muller. So right around the same level of Mike Magnan, but just like a tier below. Maybe a little less kind of spry and kind of like less of a hop in his step. Next we have Joao Cancelo. He's D tier, easy D tier. Joao Cancelo, unwanted at City, unwanted at Bayern. Now he's back at City. We'll see how he gets on. Yeah, I just don't know what to say. But besides that, he's just he's promising going forward, but he's a luxury player, Joao Cancelo. So you can't really like rely on him in several systems, or if you're changing systems a lot, he kind of has to play one way and play his way. So he kind of gets caught out for that a bit. Next we have Joshua Kimmich. Joshua Kimmich, I would put at high A tier, probably below Rodri, ahead of Frankie De Jong, ahead of Fede. That seems fairly fair. Um, Lautaro Martinez, honestly, this dude's like C. Like, I know Inter got to the Champions League final. Actually, I feel like I have to give him a B. Like, I can't have Fernandez ahead of this dude. Fernandez, I'm honestly putting at a C. Like, he's the highest C tier player I've ever seen. I I mean, I just don't like the way he plays to the extent that the amount of penalties he just generates or tries to generate is like astonishing, especially in today's day and age with VAR. Messi is the GOAT. He's got to go to the front. Just won a World Cup, pretty huge. Um, Next we have Marquinhos. Marquinhos tough to gauge as well. I'd say he's like honestly like high B or low A. I'm gonna put him at high B. I think he's a phenomenal center back, very versatile. Played alongside Thiago Silva, played at PSG, super impactful, had some huge moments over the last few seasons. But he's also kind of getting there in age, and I'd like to see him kind of take on a separate challenge somewhere else, wherever it might be in Serie A and uh, Spain potentially, Germany, England, anywhere. I'd like to see him test himself somewhere besides PSG because he's been there for a while now. Manuel Neuer, um, not better than Maignan. About the level of Oblak. He also broke his leg, so I don't know. I'd have to put him right around there, like ahead of Oblak, probably ahead of Jude, ahead of Lautaro, and yeah, honestly, Lautaro might even just be kind of right there. He does score a lot of goals, but Lautaro is super inefficient. I don't know. He's someone who's we're gonna keep ahead of Jude, and Jude will be kind of right there. Yeah, that seems fair. Martin Odegaard, A tier. Martin Odegaard is a killer. I'd say he's probably better than Frankie as well. Better than Kimmich. Not as good as Rodri. He's maybe just like these three are like Rodri's clear, and then you have these two kind of neck and neck, Kimmich and um Martin Odegaard. So I'd put Kimmich at him, but he's better than Frankie De Jong. He's better than Fede. He's better than probably everyone here in terms of the impact he provides to his team, his overall quality. Um, Virgil, I'm gonna keep Virgil right around there. Seems Neymar, I think I gotta kind of slot down. I'd put Vinny ahead of Neymar. And Kane's just more available. So we're gonna put Kane there just because he gets numbers. And Neymar, his teams are always kind of like in a state of shock, but he's always kind of like either injured or not. Saka, not better than Kane. Not better than Neymar. Not better than Rodri. Not better than Kimmich. Not better than him. Frankie De Jong, probably like where. I mean, Frankie De Jong won a league. He's won Champions League. Saka, yeah. I mean, I'd have to put him maybe right around there. Like Fede has had some great moments at Real Madrid, but he's kind of become more of a rotational piece. Saka's the starting and offensive focal point for them. Rodri, I think, is better because of just his presence overall. Kimmich, I think I could kind of move down though. Odegaard's better. Not, I'd say these two are good, but this is really kind of confusing me. I'm gonna put Saka ahead of Frankie De Jong. Um, Nah, I'm put it. These two are neck and neck, so this is like very close right here. I'd say. Golo Kante, D tier. Kante, I think, is still a player who provides a lot. Um, I think I'm putting him in F. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying. Kante won a World Cup a while back. He wasn't really featured in this past World Cup for France. He's hardly featured for Chelsea. He played sometimes. He did play in a 0-0 draw against Liverpool at the Bridge, which was like the first time he like showed up in a while. But now he's gone to Al Ittihad, and I think he's just gonna kind of have like a similar career to Verratti there. I think they're both gonna just be injury prone all the time, and they're gonna hardly feature. And he used to be like literally the best midfielder in the world, like right up there. But I think that's fair for now. Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva, probably high B, like ahead of Marquinhos. Probably behind Marquinhos by now. If these two were playing in the same squad, Marquinhos probably be the star at this point. But I think Silva's still like a quality center back. I think if he features for Chelsea next season, he'll still show that he, at however old he is, like 39, 40 now, is still one of the best players in the world. Um Osimhen, Osimhen's like gotta be like high A. Probably like better than Neymar, but Kane, I mean, I feel like he's better than Kane, but not Vinny. I think he's right around there because he's not as good as one, two, three, four, five attackers, six attackers ahead of him, I'd say. But he's just about there. Um, he obviously won the Serie A with Napoli this past season, so quality player. And I think the last player is Pedri. Is that Pedri? Yes, that's Pedri. Pedri. Okay, we're just gonna put him there at B. Now we're gonna adjust this. Final touches. A, B, and S are overwhelmingly stacked. Bruce, I think I could drop to an A, like high A. Ruben Diaz is an S. I think S tier is fairly balanced right now. Vinny Jr. is good there. Good, good, good. Good, 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 good. I mean, is he as good as Kane, Osimhen, Neymar? Yes, probably on like contributions level, probably. But this back end is kind of like I think a bunch of people are gonna drop into C. Um, Immediately, who jumps out that I could put at C or at D even? I'd put honestly, I'd put Neuer at C because I feel like now that he's been injured for a bit, Summers kind of filled his boots really well at Bayern, and I don't know. I feel like he's not going to be the same once he's back from the leg injury. So he's going to have to be at the top of C, but he's still one of the most influential goalies of all time. Next, Pedri. I'm going to have to put him at C. Jude also high C. Like these guys, very promising, but they're also just like unproven at the very, very highest of levels, you know? We'll see with Jude. Jude will have the ultimate test. Pedri, won La Liga, but not really translating to Europe. And I mean, even Lautaro got to like a league, European final, in the Champions League, and Pedri hasn't. I mean, he's very, very young, of course, but just based on current quality and how I feel about them at the moment, he's got to be there. I think Sula could drop down to like a D. I think Mane could. Mane is still going to be like at the low C. Up here, A's pretty stacked. There's a lot of people that I think could join like B. I think Mueller has to join C. I think Lautaro has to join C. I think Bernardo Silva, probably a B. Van Dyke, probably at top of B. Because Van Dyke's phenomenal. I'm a huge Van Dyke fan. And I think Van Dyke will improve to a high A again, or even a low S. But the thing with Van Dyke that I kind of kind of, you know, I can't. I straight up can't have him under a tier from Mike Maignan, who is a good goalie, but I don't know. I think he'll be the goalie for this tier. We got 3 up there. Um, Someone like Kimmich, I think, goes to B. I think Saka will put a high B. He's had a couple great seasons, but he's truly not on this level quite yet. Let's be honest. Um, Alaba, high B. I like Alaba. He's versatile. He's won so much over so many seasons, but he's also kind of like inconsistent at times. I don't know. It's somewhere around here for him. Magnan though, we'll put at B. I also feel like Ederson, I'm gonna have to give him high A. He's the best distributing goalie in the world, and he had an amazing Champions League campaign. But he's also like had to kind of like make a lot less saves than both of these two. So we shall see. Um, Starting to get a bit more balanced. I think I could put Mane at high D. He had actually a like abysmal season last year, so that's fair. Jan Oblak will put at he could. I mean, I feel like him and Neuer are kind of there, like equal. You know, maybe even I'll just put them there together. And one of these guys is gonna have to go to C. Maybe Son. I mean, Son is kind of on the level of Lautaro and all these guys, I'd feel like. So let's see. Messi, Mbappe, Haaland, De Bruyne, Salah. Probably put Mbappe first. Mbappe, Messi, Haaland, De Bruyne, Salah. It's these two. Mbappe, Haaland, Messi, De Bruyne, Salah, Modric. Courtois, I'd put Courtois, yeah, there. Alisson, Lewandowski, Benzema, Ruben Diaz, Ederson, Tony Cruz, Vinny Jr., Osimhen, Kane, Neymar, Rodri, Odegaard, Frankie de Jong, Fede, Van Dijk, Alaba, Magnan, Saka, Casemiro, Kimmich, Silva, Marquinhos, Thiago Silva, Nkunku, Ronaldo, Griezmann, Robertson, Son, Neuer, Oblak, that's who it is. Martinez, Mueller, Bellingham, Pedri, Fernandez, Odegaard, not Odegaard. Jeez, I'm losing my mind. Eder Militao, Mane, Niklas Sula, Laporte, Donnarumma, Cancelo. Gonna put Cancelo at F. Cancelo, De Gea, Verratti, Conte. I feel like Neuer's got to be B, and I think I got to put Robbo C. Robbo at the top of C. Because I think Robbo's phenomenal, and I don't think this is any of Robbo's fault. Salah's been picture perfect for seasons. That's why he's the Egyptian king. Van Dijk kind of fell off a bit, but, you know, he's back, kind of making his way up. Robbo has all the energy in the world, but I feel like he's rather unchallenged at Liverpool, and there are moments where he does, you know, because of the system more than anything, he gets caught out. And similarly to Trent's not on this list, but I'd put Trent kind of like higher up because Trent's passing is so incredible. Robbo's defending is very good, but it's not like anything groundbreaking. He has an incredible motor, and honestly, this is mostly to balance the kind of tiers because I do feel like he's around this tier. But like all these players here are some of the best players in the world, right? These are like arguably the top 51 or top 100 or like a 51 of the top 100. collected here. Obviously, you could kind of like maybe say some players aren't in that top 100, but I'd say all of them are like an ear's shout. But I feel like this is a balanced list in terms of the impact these players have had over the last couple seasons, their general quality on their best day, their kind of relative score compared to everyone else, and just yeah, how I think they're gonna fare going on into next season. Um, I will honestly, I'm putting Robbo back, but he's gonna be low B. He's like at the bottom of B, but I think this list is pretty cohesive. If you want to do the list, make sure to check it out in the description down below. If you like the video, consider giving it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more tier lists, football content, news, Premier League news. I have a lot of stuff prepared, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.